Right, let's continue with our coverage of the M20 Summit. Day 2 of the gathering is underway in Johannesburg. It's running alongside the G20 Summit and focused on the role of the media, the importance of reliable information, and how to strengthen journalism. The discussions also unpack ways of building trust in news. For more, let's bring in SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo, who's been watching developments there since the gathering started. And Khayelihle, there's going to be a focus today on safeguarding journalists, especially those, of course, who are reporting in volatile environments.
Well, that's right. And in fact, currently, one of the major talking points has to be around the safety of journalists. In fact, one of the renowned journalists from Zimbabwe, Hopel Chinano, is currently speaking to the delegates about the precarious conditions that he's facing. And in fact, when you talk about the working conditions in the continent, when you talk about the issues of censorship, the lack of freedom of expression are some of the major issues here, Ayanda. But also, during the course of the day, of course, we're expecting that declaration that will be adopted by M20 Summit. So the goal is for that particular declaration to go to the G20 leaders so that they really create a conducive environment for journalists to operate in their countries, but also not just peculiar to the G20 countries, even beyond the G20 countries. But just to reflect on the significance of today, as we are edging closer to the last day, we're joined here by Dr. Tabani Moyo from MISA, all the way from Zimbabwe. Dr. Moyo, let's talk about the issue of the safety of journalists. I mean, quite very, very startling revelations inside about the conditions that the journalists are finding themselves in certain parts of the continent. Let's talk about the Zimbabwean experience, for example.
Thank you very much. Yeah, journalism is one of the forerunners in terms of the crimes that are now being recorded across the continent. As you rightfully know, that we have said, journalism is not a crime. It is purely a profession where you are criminalized for doing what you're supposed to be doing. In the case of Zimbabwe, just like any other African country, is a mixed bag of attacks, of the use of lawfare to target journalists, the issue of mobilizing different constituencies of society, including political parties, to lynch on the journalists when they are doing their work. Surprisingly, we are in the 13th year of the UN Action Plan on Safety and Security of Journalists, and not a single country has adopted that framework that goes for location of the perpetrators of the crimes, arresting them and holding them to account, or to mitigate. What we call for then for is to say, African countries should bring this UN Action Plan of Action closer home by domesticating it. We have seen cases even worse off in countries like Mozambique, where there's strife in the north with Cabo Delgado, where journalists are shot at while they're doing work. We have seen journalists in 2020 in Mozambique, like Mburako Ibrahim, who has gone missing since 2020. Nothing has happened. And our call for action is to say, not a single story is worth dying for. One journalist an attack is too many in a continent that requires information to make informed decisions. And this is critical. If you look at Botswana, the issue of the Directorate of Security raiding on newspapers. We have a case in Lesotho recently with the editor who is actually behind bars for simply uncovering corruption. And to us, we say one journalist too many to be targeted for telling the story of Africa.
Dr. Moyo, platforms like M20, what can they do in terms of making sure that journalists are able to ply their trade unconditionally without any impediments whatsoever?
This is a critical platform which builds on solidarity nets. As you can see, it is coming up with a declaration which is aimed to galvanize the entire progressive thinking community. To say, we focus on power. If the G20 is moving here, how can we petition our cause that journalists have got the right to exist? It's for the benefit of society to make informed decisions, that we daily struggle to take the story to their jurisdiction. And our cause as the media is to say society is better off when it is examined. And our role daily is no agenda save of examining society for the whole of Africa to be a better place to live to live on and to live about. Because Africa to us is the business of the day. It's where we stay. It's where we want to see better. And to us, we say, when we are moving to these platforms organized by SANEF and Media Monitoring Africa, this is a key area where we are saying for one in a long time, we are speaking with a collective voice to say, let hands off the media for a society that is informed. Structure the media in a way that is responsive to the changing conditions of society. Technology should be responsive to the changes of society, but it must be held accountable so that we build a better community predicated on our values of Ubuntu. We are a community, we are a collective, and this platform gives us the muscle to speak with one voice to power.
Before we let you go, Dr. Moyo, obviously one of the main issues is around the manifestation or proliferation of disinformation, misinformation, and the advent of social media where people can just post all sorts of things, malicious stuff, and at times really, really pejorative. But what can be done to tackle this particular beast?
We need to strengthen fact-checking mechanisms. Unfortunately, it's happening at a time of geopolitical shifts that have seen powerful platforms like X and Meta downgrading third-party fact-checking mechanisms, making them junkyards for information, polluting our water bodies of knowledge. So what we need to do as a collective is to strengthen fact-checking mechanism, plug them into the media mainstream so that the media itself becomes the reservoir of verified information. As long as media exists, society has recourse, because you know that this is a professionally accruing information that is verified. And when we do so, society is better when we are populating factual information. Of course, malicious or deliberate misinformation moves faster than the truth. But what we can do as a society is to saturate the platforms with the correct information. I think that is the best way we can do. Regulating to a lesser extent helps. When you are regulating, you are not going to stifle innovation, you are not going to stifle freedom of expression, but regulation with the means of ensuring that there is recourse to the various groups that are using the platforms. But what we need most is to strengthen fact-checking mechanisms, allow the collaboration efforts of various players in the ecosystem, but strengthening the ecosystem of the media itself, from the trainers to the academia to the users, so that the system of verified information remains strong in society.
All right. Dr. Moyo, thank you so much indeed for that insight. So quite a very informative day here at the Melrose Arch, and it's all about really making sure that the media is able to rise above these challenges, but also in the main, it's about information integrity. During the course of the day, we're expecting that's a round table by some members of the diplomatic missions stationed here in South Africa. After all, this is one of the major events as we edging close to that all-important G20 Leaders Summit in November right here in Johannesburg. So with that, back to you in studio.
Khayelihle Khumalo, live to us there from Melrose Arch.